Thank you, Mr. President. I had a New Year's resolution that I was not going to come down so much and do these privileged speeches, so hopefully I'll do better with some of my other New Year's resolutions. I come to you today to respond to something that was published in my hometown newspaper this morning. There was an advertisement taken out by a group called Better Georgia, and in that advertisement they suggest that those of us that support religious freedom legislation here in Georgia want to in some way reduce the rights of women in this state, and that we want to aid and abet criminals to give them another defense to crimes that they might commit. You can imagine this is particularly offensive to me. I don't like bringing my family into the discussion a whole lot, but one thing that I learned from my dad is that the only thing you have in this world is your word and your reputation. And if somebody's going to assault that, you need to respond to it. And I'll just tell you, my mother has worked for the last 25 years as a victim service officer. She's helped molested children get ready to testify in court. She's helped victims of sexual violence. She's helped people who have lost a loved one to murder. And she taught me, growing up, to treat everyone, every human being, with dignity and respect. And it is incredibly offensive to suggest that those of us who want to see a very modest protection of the right of free exercise in this state somehow want to denigrate women or want to provide criminals with some other defense when they commit crimes. Now, never mind, there's absolutely nothing to support these charges. There's not a single case, a reported case you'll find in the 31 states and in the federal level that has this legal standard in place to support these absurd accusations. But all it tells me is that the false narrative that Better Georgia and these other groups have been pushing for the last 8 months, that this bill is a license to discriminate. I was told growing up a lot of times a lie will get around the world before the truth can get its pants on. Well, we've gotten there, and the folks have been educated about that false attack on this legislation. And they are now so desperate that they are ready to jettison any scintilla of intellectual honesty or integrity in this debate. They are willing to do anything to stop this legislation. And you ought to ask yourself, why is that? We talk a lot about Georgia being the #1 place to do business, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the work of this General Assembly and the work of all of our elected officials to make that happen. But if I were to tell you we were 32nd in the nation when it comes to protecting the right of free exercise, I think you would be upset about that. I think you would want to do something about it. And there is nothing about protecting someone's right of free exercise that denigrates another human being, that costs another human being anything. But the cost of failing to protect the fundamental bedrock freedoms upon which any free society is founded has a tremendous cost. And we only have to look to the last century to see what happens when you have countries, when you have nation states that don't value people of every faith and that don't give people of every faith a seat at the table. So I simply say to Better Georgia, shame on you. I hope that they'll retract these ridiculous, unsupported, unsubstantiated accusations and try to responsibly participate in this debate. And I appreciate every member of this body who has been deliberate, who has been reasonable, who has been willing to talk about it, even if we don't agree. We don't question each other's motives. We don't engage in these kind of really reprehensible ad hominem attacks. So I appreciate the opportunity to set the record straight. Thank you, Mr. President.